What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another installation video DIY for my G80 M3. Today we're going to be installing a valve controller from Kies Motorsports, and this is actually made by dAHler, and this is a Swiss company, which is really awesome. They've got some cool products, cool exhausts, and they also have this valve controller. And huge thanks to Brian and the team over at Kies Motorsports for sending this out to me, because we're going to kind of open this exhaust up a little bit and make it a little bit louder. So if you guys didn't know, the stock exhaust on the G80 M3 actually has valves. So it's got a valve on each side. And so when it's in comfort mode, those valves are closed. And in M mode, you can hit the little M2 button and they open up. But when they open up, they don't open up fully. And the other thing, those valves will actually modulate and they'll open and close periodically in order to get better fuel efficiency and to kind of keep the noise down. And basically what this dAHler valve controller is going to do is going to allow us to open the exhaust valves completely, 100% open whenever we want. It's completely controlled by a little tiny remote, and it's going to be super simple to install this. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that in today's video. Let's get to it. Okay, one other thing I do want to mention, dAHler does sell two versions of this. They have a one valve system as well as a two valve system, so just double check and make sure that your car has two valves, because this is going to plug into both of these valves. And so basically you see quad exhaust here, but there's a valve way back down inside of there that opens and closes. And so what we're doing here is going to force that open with this. So I'm going to show you guys what we have inside this box here. Again, super simple to install. They give you some instructions. They give you a little keychain, which is really cool. They also give you some 3M tape as well as some zip ties and some stickers. But the actual controller itself, we're going to mount this completely under the car. I know there's some other companies out there that you have to route this kind of on the inside of the car, but this is completely weatherproof and this is what it looks like. So pretty much plug and play. There's no coating or anything that is required. And basically we're going to unplug the factory valves that are down underneath the exhaust, and we're going to plug in the harness for the dAHler system here, and then plug the OEM back into one of these other plugs here. So as you guys can see, since ours is a dual valve or a two valve system here, we've got one on each side. So one's going to go to this one and one's going to go to this one. And then here is the actual handheld remote as well, nice and small. And so you'll see that there's basically a unlock and lock button here. The unlock is going to allow us to completely open the valves whenever we want to. Doesn't mean that we have to be in any M modes or anything. We can even open it fully and force them open in comfort mode, and it'll be completely open, as opposed to when it's in M2 mode, it's only like a third of the way open for some reason. I think it's more sound control and trying to properly give you the best fuel efficiency. So what we're doing here is forcing it open, and then we have the ability to close it here by hitting this lock button here. Hold it down and it'll close the valve. So again, really awesome, because this is completely plug and play and we don't need to do any coding or anything like that. Simple install. So let's get on to it. All right, so as you guys can see, I've got the car jacked up here on one side. We're gonna start here on the driver's side. Right there, that little black box is our valve, our stock valve. And so what we're gonna do is unplug that. So there's a little plug right there on the bottom that we're gonna go ahead and unplug. So again, here's the valve here. So what we're gonna do is unplug this. So there's just a little tab right here. If you just push that down and pull this out, you can use a screwdriver or your fingernail, and it comes right out just like that. And so what we're going to do is take the new dAHler and plug it right into this, and it'll basically bypass the factory system here and go into the dAHler system. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to take our dAHler valve controller here. So it doesn't matter which side we start on here because these are both the same length, which is really, really good. And it's certainly long enough to go on either side. So you can mount this controller box on either the driver's side or the passenger side. It really doesn't matter. We're going to put it up here in this section. So this is basically an empty cavity right here. We can actually tuck the box back up inside of there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this up here temporarily just to get it out of the way so we know where it's going to go. And we're basically going to take this one here, separate these wires here real quick. So there's plenty of slack, which is really good. Okay, so this one's going to go this side, and this one's going to go to this one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the dAHler, and we're going to plug this side back into the valve till it clicks into place, just like that. And then there's this little gray little nub right here, this little fastener. Push that in and it locks it into place. It keeps it from coming back out. And then on this side, we're going to take this side of it and plug this back into the factory harness. And so this only goes in one direction as well. Line it up. Plug it in until it snaps into place. And now that side is also good to go. And so what we can do, we're going to clean up this wiring here in a minute, but what I'm going to do now is take this side and I'm going to wire this through the heat shield that's down here. I know there's a lot of wires here in the way, so we're basically going to tuck it up here, feed these wires through. It's going to come out here in the center, just like that. I'm going to keep feeding it through until we get to the opposite side. Just weaving it through. There's one, and there's the other. So, as you guys can see, got it all the way through here, so I'm just going to pull this all the way through, get all my slack out. Okay, just like that. I know you guys don't have the best viewing angle here since we're just crawling underneath the car, but all the more reason for me to eventually buy a lift. But again, as you guys can see here, I ran the wire to the other side through the heat shield, through this cavity, all the way across. So it goes all the way down and across. This is the hole in the middle that the wire was coming through that I could see. So I just kept feeding it all the way over to the other side where it drops down in front of the other valve. Okay, so same idea here on the passenger side. So you can use a screwdriver or your finger here and push this little tab down and then pull the valve out. We'll take our new dAHler side here and we're going to plug this directly into the valve, the valves, and then push this little gray tab up and that locks it into place. And then this side we will plug in, goes only in one direction here until it clicks into place just like that. And now it's just a matter of wire maintenance. So, and that's why they give you all the zip ties and all that. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck clean these wires up and kind of tuck it back up into this cavity back here, because it's away from any moving parts, it's away from anything, you know, super hot, it's away from the exhaust and that sort of thing. So it's all just going to sit up inside of that cavity, nice and neat. So we go ahead and kind of wind this wire up, make it look nice and neat. Give yourself a little bit of slack, and then we're going to put it up in that cavity. So on this side, they also give us in the package some of this 3M double-sided Velcro, which is really, really nice. And so I showed you, we're going to put it basically on the inside of this cavity. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a couple pieces of this 3M, one here and one here, and that way we can push it down firmly, and we know it's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to rattle around and that sort of thing. So go ahead and take our plastic off here on one side, nice strong adhesive here, and we're going to put it on just like that. One on each side. Okay. Just like that. Make sure it's nice and on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck it up back in this cavity on the inside, remove the tape here, and make sure it's nice and secure. Just so you guys can see how I did this, here it's all plugged in. Here's my extra wire that I zip tied up, cleaned up, and then the actual dAHler controller is back here behind this, and it's velcroed in with the sticky Velcro. I'm basically just going to tuck this wire up in that same cavity, up out of the way, and just make it all nice and neat. And finally, this is how it all looks here on the driver's side. So one thing I did find helpful was up here where my finger is, there's a little plastic nut that you can take off. Right here where my finger is, there's a little plastic nut that you can take off that will allow you to kind of maneuver this around a little bit, and that way you can kind of get your hand back there and tuck your wires and stuff. So that's what it looks like on the driver's side. And finally, here's the passenger side all buttoned up. I found it helpful to actually remove this 10mm bolt right here, this little screw. That way I can kind of fold this heat shield down a little bit, tuck some of the wires back in there, put the screw back in, and that kind of holds some of the wires in place. But the bulk of the wiring is all tucked back in this cavity back here. And so I did also put a zip tie here on the OEM wire and the dAHler, so that way it's all tucked up there. It shouldn't be hitting anything or vibrating against anything, and this should be good to go. So this install is all wrapped up. Just gotta make sure your wiring's all clean and you don't have anything dangling, and everything's all securely plugged in. Make sure that these are all locked into place, and you're good to go. All right, guys, so install is complete. Now it's the moment of truth. All right, guys, so as you guys can tell, way louder, and having it all controlled by this little remote is freaking awesome. I can really open this thing up and, you know, drive with the valves completely open in comfort mode if I want to, or even in M1, M2 mode. I have full ability to change that just with this remote. So highly recommend it. It sounds amazing. And what I really like about the dAHler system here is that I can use this not only on my stock exhaust, but any aftermarket exhaust that has valves. So my plan is to do another valved exhaust in the future, and so I'll be able to utilize this as well. It does not have to be a dAHler product. It just kind of utilizes the stock system here and controls it and bypasses everything. And yeah, super awesome. Huge shout out again to Brian and the team over at Kies Motorsports for sending this out, and they've got a really good instructional video on how to do this as well. And they were able to put their car on the lift and actually show you some better footage. So I'll put a link in the description below as well to their video if you want to use that as kind of a guide. One other thing I do want to mention with this system is that you can actually program the remote and program the car to actually open up automatically when the car is turned on. So you could program it that way. Additionally, you can actually sync this remote with the HomeLink system. So the buttons underneath your mirror, you can actually sync this remote with that as well. So that way you don't have to carry this remote around. I'm probably going to utilize the remote for a while until I get bored with it and decide that I want to link it to the mirror. That's a really cool feature as well. So highly recommend this product. It really opens up the exhaust and gives you full functionality of those valves. Okay guys, that pretty much wraps up the install for the dAHler valve controller. Huge thanks again to the guys over at Kies Motorsports for sending this out to me. If you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns about this particular install, or even any other modifications or installs that I've done here on the channel with my G80 M3, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next video. Stay tuned, we've got a lot more coming. Thanks.